You're watching This Week in Louisiana Politics with Fred Childers.
Well, good morning. I'm Shannon Heck. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. Just a few years after major criminal justice reform took place, some in the legislature are trying to undo it. One state senator wants to make sure that 17-year-olds are tried as adults. Rachel Riley brings us the latest on the bill.
Passed in committee today and expected to hit the House floor is a bill that would hold 17-year-olds accused of violent crimes in adult facilities pre-trial.
40% chance didn't do it, and you're sticking him in a cell with a convicted rapist.
There's a lot of tension regarding Senator Stuart Cathy's bill concerning troubled teens, which passed to the House floor in a 6-5 vote.
If they're charged with a crime of violence, they will be booked into an adult facility where they will then have a continued custody hearing within 24 hours.
During the trial, the teen could be transferred back to the juvenile center.
Addressing a serious issue that we have in the state, and that is the crimes that are committed, the violent crimes committed by 17-year-olds.
Over 80% is the data I got of people that look like me, right?
Right. Youth advocates also mentioned the state could lose federal money if this bill passes.
We are violating the federal law that says that kids who are charged with delinquent offenses cannot be held in adult jails.
I've had clients assaulted physically, sexually, extorted by adults.
Former youth prison inmates say this bill would do more harm than good.
If we can't protect adult offenders in facilities, what would make any of us think that we could protect the most vulnerable?
We will eventually return to society. For once we return, it starts at the beginning.
The bill is expected to hit the House floor in the next few weeks. From the Capitol, Rachel Riley, NBC Local 33 News.
And for the second year in a row, one bill working through the legislature would do away with required training and permits for concealed carry. State Representative Danny McCormick says this bill removes the government tax and red tape that stands between law-abiding citizens and their Second Amendment rights. Others say this will only create more people who don't have the basic understanding of how to operate them and when to use them.
Louisiana is already an open carry state. It has not turned us into the wild, wild west.
If you have our police officers that are going to be engaging on police stops and they are against this bill, I trust them.
Passed the Senate Judiciary Committee with a 4-2 vote. It is now pending action from the Senate floor. Governor John Bel Edwards vetoed a similar bill last year. And a former state police boss avoided contempt charges from the legislature after making a deal to hand over journals that could have critical information about the Ronald Greene case. I sat in on the debate between the former superintendent's lawyer and legislators. After former Louisiana State Police Superintendent Colonel Kevin Reeves refused to give up 3 journals he kept in months after Ronald Greene died, the legislature moved to hold him in contempt. The special committee investigating the death of Greene believes there is important information about who knew what and when, and why some actions were not taken sooner, such as administrative leave for troopers involved in the case.
There can be no doubt that those records are critical to this investigation.
Reeves' lawyer gave up only 11 pages of the journals. He gave multiple reasons why, first saying the committee didn't have the power to subpoena it, then said they don't have to comply, and then said they did comply, giving only what he says is relevant to Ronald Greene.
He may have notes and documents that he doesn't realize is even important to us, because he may not realize what somebody was telling him or what was being observed.
After lengthy debate of if the journals are public record or if the committee even needs them to be public, an offer was made to take the journals under seal. That way, only legislators will get to see them in a protected office.
Colonel Reeves could have just said, I'm not going to give you anything. And if you want to try to get it, sue me.
Under supervision, the journals will be redacted to take out personal financial information that Reeves wrote in it, and the rest will be reviewed by the committee. And following the death of Ronald Greene and the series of investigations into state police, the legislature wants more control. A bill by State Senator Cleo Fields would require the Senate to confirm anyone appointed by the governor to the State Police Commission. The commission oversees the administration of the state police, including hiring and personnel activity. The governor's choices are selected by the leading private universities in the state.
I would say it's a board of this magnitude should have confirmation. I mean, we confirm Supreme Court justices. I mean, there's no reason to not confirm State Police and Civil Service Commission.
Field says Louisiana is one of the few states that does not have a Senate confirmation process for the police commission. If passed, the bill will go to a vote of the people this November. Multiple Louisiana Native American tribes took to the Capitol this week in hopes of getting state recognition, but they were met with the same roadblocks that they've been facing for years. I talked with tribal leaders about why this recognition is so important. There are two tribes that were trying to get state recognition for the first time, and there was a group of tribes trying to reaffirm the recognition they already have, but they wanted to clean up some of the language. But some committee members say that they should go for federal recognition instead. When a tribe is recognized by the state, it opens them up to things such as a line of communication with local and state governments. Two tribes are seeking recognition for the first time so they can sit on the Louisiana Native American Affairs Commission.
Native Americans are the only race in the United States that have to have permission to be Native American.
There's no set criteria in Louisiana to dictate what a tribe must prove in order to get state recognition. One senator took issue with that and pushed the tribes to get federal approval first.
They completely look into everything when the state do not. But once you have the federal recognition, you more than likely, it's not automatic. The state will not turn you down.
Chief Sherelle Parfait Dardar leads the Grand Caillou Band of the Biloxi Chitimacha Choctaw tribe. She has been working to get federal recognition for 26 years.
I understand the concerns with federal acknowledgement, absolutely, but that is its own process.
But the committee deferred the bills for all of the tribes. All of the tribes that were denied today say that they're going to continue to come back every year to try to get this state recognition to help get them a seat at the table for discussions such as recovering from hurricanes. At the Capitol for your local election headquarters, I'm Shannon Hecht. And after that hearing, State Representative Tanner McGee amended another bill on the House floor to add the reaffirmation for some of those tribes, and it passed without objection. The other two tribes trying to get their initial recognition will have to try again next year. And the Crown Act, meant to protect African Americans from discrimination based on their hairstyles, is also advancing in the legislature. The bill is on its way to the full Senate after getting approval in committee this week. Similar acts have failed in the state before, and the author, Representative Candace Newell, says that the bill was changed to include all nationalities, which brought the bill more support.
What I'm also noticing is that we have Hispanic women who have naturally curly hair who are also being discriminated against when it comes to job offers, keeping their jobs, or schools being able to participate in certain events at schools. So I wanted to make it inclusive of everyone.
If the bill passes the Senate without any changes, it'll head to the governor's desk for his signature, and there's already 12 other states that have enacted the Crown Act. And a bill that would prohibit spanking children in Louisiana schools is getting a second chance after the House passed the bill Wednesday. The bill by State Representative Stephanie Hilferty had been voted down a few times before, but after Hilferty added a parental opt-in, the measure passed 70 to 28. Current law states that individual school boards can decide whether to implement corporal punishment. Hilferty says that parents should be the ones making those decisions, not the schools. And after months of research and speaking with the community, the newest Mississippi River Bridge location has been narrowed down to just 3 possible locations. All 3 are in Iberville Parish, connecting LA1 to LA30 on the other side of the river. And the Capital Area Road and Bridge District approved the locations Friday, including Iberville Parish President Mitchell Orso. He says it's about time that the area got something from the state, and the next phase will include environmental reviews and could take up to 2 years. But drivers could be waiting 7 years for construction to finish. The legislature is putting $300 million towards the project next year. A recent audit found that some Louisiana teachers struggle to pass exams for certification, and with a teacher shortage statewide, there is a push to make changes to the system. Jacqueline Kissick reports.
It's a known problem that teacher shortages are a major concern in Baton Rouge and across the nation.
Because of teacher pay, number one, and testing.
Jaleese Jones, who's an advocate for Baton Rouge education, says a lot of teachers are not able to pass tests when it comes to certain levels of certifications.
So you have praxis and all these other exams that are required to teach. well, if I've taken an exam 3 or 4 times and I still can't pass it, then I'm just going to give up.
A recent study from the Louisiana Legislative Auditor shows there is room for improvement.
The state needs to look at alternate ways to certify teachers.
The study also shows teachers in schools serving more economically disadvantaged students are less likely to be certified and have fewer years of experience.
That's, 30% of the teachers, but it's over 60% of teachers in those schools that actually teach without any type of certification.
Jones says it's hard finding teachers who truly love education and want to teach no matter the economic level.
As a public servant is someone that's serving the community. You go where you need it. You go where the children need you. You go where, and if you have a love and a passion for this, you'll figure it out.
In Baton Rouge, Jacqueline Kissick, NBC Local 33 News.
And after the break, one juvenile detention center is being called out for a number of problems, and 3 major cities are looking to curb the summer crime spike.
This is your local election headquarters.
After several recent escapes from the Bridge City Center for Youth, a former supervisor there has a lot to say about it. She says the lockup is out of control, and she alleges that the staff enables the inmates to break out. Anna McAllister has the story.
Over the last 6 months, at least 9 inmates at the Bridge City Center for Youth have escaped the facility.
I knew the escapes was going to occur. Like I said, I brought it to their attention, and I was ignoring it, and I felt like I'm useless here.
A former supervisor who wishes to remain anonymous says the facility is out of control and says the staff is a big part of the problem.
It's not safe. They need to hire the proper and the trained individuals to come in there.
She says she's witnessed several staff members develop inappropriate relationships with the youth inmates at the facility.
They fraternize with them, they laugh with them, the youth sat on their lap, the youth hugged them, the youth kissed them. Love letters was being passed out, phone numbers.
The former supervisor says it's through these relationships that the inmates get the information and the tools they need to escape.
They tell them all the calls, the codes. They let them hear the radio. They give them the radio. They let them listen to the communication.
She also says that staff members would often smuggle illegal contraband into the facility for the inmates.
Vape pipes, cigarette lighters, cigarettes, weed, marijuana, pills.
Despite repeatedly reporting the misconduct she witnessed to upper management, the former supervisor says her concerns fell on deaf ears.
I felt like something should have been taken care of when I spoke. And if I spoke up, how many other workers or staff members spoke up and they ignored them? What is going to take for them to do their job?
Anna McAllister, WGNO News.
Now that kids are out of school, Baton Rouge is bracing for the summer crime spike, but a report from BRPD shows that public safety programs are working. The city parish will launch the new program Summer of Hope in late June. It's a community initiative to make sure children stay away from trouble while out of school. Chief Murphy Paul says that more kids are committing violent crimes, and this initiative will put community leaders into high crime neighborhoods. City leaders say that they will also host community events to help teenagers find summer jobs.
Working to pull together families that have been impacted by violence, people who have been victims of violence, because we know that there may be a potential to retaliate, and also referrals from some diversion programs.
The program launches next month. And in New Orleans, city leaders are also trying to get ahead of that summer crime spike, and residents gathered to discuss solution in District E's crime problem. One main topic of the conversation was the concern over truancy and how it relates to the skyrocketing crime. Others urged parents to take accountability for their own children, and attendees also recommended fixing streetlights, blighted properties, and creating more recreational programs.
One trick pony that can solve this. It has to be an all-out effort across multiple fronts.
City leaders said that they're taking into account every suggestion, and similar discussions are also taking place in Lafayette to help cut back on the violence. And coming up, the U.S. Department of Energy made a visit to Louisiana this week, and hear how the Louisiana delegation is reacting to calls for gun reform.
This is your local election headquarters.
As gas prices creep back up, President Joe Biden makes good on his promise, releasing millions of barrels of oil from federal reserves.
About 10 minutes away from Baton Rouge is one of 4 strategic petroleum reserves, with deep underground caverns storing millions of barrels of crude oil.
This is a busy time for the Office of Petroleum Reserves.
With gas prices breaking record highs, President Joe Biden announced his plan to release 1 million barrels of crude oil a day for 6 months to address the gas shortage caused by Putin's war on Ukraine.
For us as a nation, we are looking at the tools we have available, and the president has decided that he's going to use the biggest tool that we have in our arsenal, which is the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
U.S. Department of Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm and Governor John Bell Edwards toured the plant to look at where the reserve oil is coming from.
And we're so grateful to those who are working here, because you can see that because we are on a wartime footing, your efforts have deep impact.
Today's notice of sale is just over 40 million barrels of crude oil to contribute to the president's mission. Representative Troy Carter says this is a bipartisan issue.
Those people that pull up to gas pumps, they're not Republicans or Democrats, they're people.
Ariel Salk, NBC Local 33 News.
And following the tragic school shooting in Texas, Louisiana lawmakers offered their sympathies, including Governor John Bell Edwards. In a tweet, he says in part, "I join all Americans and Louisianians who are weary from constant acts of senseless violence in praying not just for their loved ones, but also for sensible discussions and solutions that might better keep all of our communities safe," end quote. Meanwhile, the discussion over gun laws is sparking once again, and Republican Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana says that red flag laws don't work.
The fellow, Mr. Ramos in Texas, passed a background check, and that didn't stop this tragedy. So it's easy to kind of draw comfort from things, but you have to find, kind of solutions as well.
But Democratic Congressman Troy Carter says that those laws are necessary. In a statement, he says, in part, it's time to take common sense steps to stop this senseless slaughter of our children, end quote. And the debate over gun control laws continues on Capitol Hill as well. The U.S. Education Secretary now is demanding lawmakers to do something to keep students and teachers safe. Miguel Cardona is rejecting the call to arm teachers to prevent mass shootings, saying it would be a dangerous solution. Lawmakers are split on how to solve this issue, including Senator John Kennedy.
In the case of Texas, hardening background checks wouldn't have helped. If that's your definition of gun control, banning guns, if gun control laws like that worked, Chicago would be Mayberry.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer told the Senate to prepare to vote on gun control legislation when they return from the Memorial Day recess. And up next, we'll have a look at the week ahead on your local election headquarters.
This is your local election headquarters.
Looking ahead to the coming week, there will be no Baton Rouge Press Club tomorrow due to the Memorial Day holiday. The special committee investigating the death of Ronald Greene will be meeting on Wednesday to go over the latest findings from the journals from Colonel Kevin Reeves. On Friday, the Joint Legislative Committee on the Budget will meet to review the recently passed budget for the next fiscal year. Then we are just a couple days away from the end of the legislative session. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics. I'm Shannon Hecht. Stay safe and stay informed.